Welcome to Tales from the Grave. Please allow me to guide you through the darkest corners of the human soul. It is said that stories create the world we live in. What world would you have? Let us begin.
The Book of Whispers. They say the witch didn't die when they burned her. They only freed her. In the 1600s, a woman named Alara Vey lived on the edge of Hollow's Bend, a place where shadows lingered a little too long and the air carried a faint smell of rain, even in summer. The villagers accused her of consorting with spirits. They were right. She had made a bargain, not for gold or beauty, but for words. The devil, amused, gave her the ability to write the truth into the world itself. Every wish she wrote came to pass. The price? A soul, signed not in ink, but the whispers required blood, a signature's worth. When they caught her, they bound her in chains, read their holy words, and set the pyre ablaze. She didn't scream. She just mouthed something over and over until she turned to ash. By morning, the only thing left was a black leather book lying in the cinders, its pages blank. The book wandered after that. The first. In 1894, a farmer named Elias Reed found it in his hayloft. He swore he heard his wife humming in the rafters, though she'd been dead a year. When he opened the book, these words appeared like frost evaporating on glass. What do you desire most? He wished for his harvest to thrive. It did, overnight. The wheat was tall and gold, and heavy with grain, and warm, like flesh. When he cut into it, the stalks bled. By the end of the season, the wheat field was gone, replaced with mounds of earth that looked disturbingly like graves. No one ever saw Elias again, but at night people swore they could hear him in the fields whispering, "It was worth it." The second. In 1957, a teenage girl named Marjorie found the book in the seat pocket of a Greyhound bus. She wished for beauty, true, timeless beauty. Her skin became flawless, her eyes luminous. Strangers turned their heads, followed her down the street, but every night she shed pieces of herself, a tooth, a fingernail, strands of hair, a fingertip once, always painlessly, always replaced by something perfect, something almost sculpted. When she finally disappeared, her parents found a marble statue standing by the window of her uptown apartment, its lips curved in a permanent smile. The third. In 1983, the book ended up in the possession of a man named David Kearns, a grieving father. The whispers promised him the thing he wanted most, to hear his daughter's laugh again. He wished, he signed, and at first it was perfect, the exact sound, bright and pure, echoing through his home. But over time, the laugh grew louder, no matter where he was. It followed him into elevators, into crowded streets, into his dreams. By the seventh day, it was so loud it made his teeth ache. Neighbors found his body in the bathtub, ears packed with melted candle wax, his face frozen in rapture. The book traveled on.
Later that same year, the book laid itself in what would seem like an odd place. The attic of a closed-down and boarded-up carnival house. There it waited patiently, for time had no cost. The book knew, as it always did, that it would be found by the ones that it called for. The sisters. But that is another story.
If you are enjoying Tales from the Grave,
Please be sure to like and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories. Now, back to Tales from the Grave. The year was 2010, and they were the most famous magicians in the world. Scarlet and Sable King, known to sold-out theaters as the Sisters of Whispers, had redefined stage magic. Their illusions didn't just amaze, they terrified. Roses burst into flame in mid-air without fuel. Shadows detached from bodies and danced on their own. Audience members swore they felt unseen fingers brush the back of their necks during the act. What no one knew was that the sisters weren't magicians at all, not in the traditional sense. 10 years ago, in a moldy attic above a shuttered carnival, they had found a book bound in black, brittle leather. The book spoke to them, not in sound, but in whispers, curling into their minds like smoke. When the cover was opened, the pages were blank until the words raced across the page. What do you desire most? It promised fame, fortune, and power that would make Houdini seem like an amateur, in exchange for a simple bargain. They signed in blood. From that night on, every illusion was real. The guillotine act really sliced through flesh, yet the victim rose whole. They could step through locked safes and walk out from inside mirrors. They fed the audience's disbelief like a starving animal, and the world loved them for it. But magic that real was never theirs to keep. The Grand Eclipse Show was their magnum opus, a one-night-only performance timed with a rare lunar eclipse. Tickets sold out in 7 minutes. The crowd that filled the glass-domed auditorium buzzed with anticipation. The sisters appeared on stage in matching gowns the color of midnight, elegant and beautiful, their pale skin glimmering in candlelight. Their smiles were sharp and their voices velvet as they guided the audience through impossible wonders, levitating above the crowd, pulling doves from candle flames, vanishing volunteers in spirals of smoke. Halfway through the show, the eclipse began. The moon's light dimmed to a red-black bruise in the sky. Inside the building, every light flickered. And then, without warning, the temperature dropped. Breath misted in the air. Scarlet faltered mid-trick. Sable's smile froze. Both of them glanced toward the wings, where no one stood, yet the shadows there writhed as if alive. The whispers returned, louder now, 1,000 voices speaking over one another. Payment is due. The audience laughed nervously, thinking it part of the act, until the floorboards began to bulge and split. Black tendrils, slick and skeletal, unfurled from the cracks and coiled around the sisters' ankles, their gowns shredded like paper. Scarlet screamed, something the audience had never heard before. Sable tried to speak an incantation, but her voice came out in someone else's tongue, her jaw moving too wide. The crowd saw their eyes turn the color of polished coal. From above, the glass dome spiderwebbed with cracks as the red eclipse light poured through. Shadows crawled up the walls like spilled ink, and the tendrils began pulling the sisters downward, not into the stage, but into something beneath it, something deep and vast and wet. The audience tried to run, but the doors slammed shut, locking themselves. Every shadow in the room lengthened, reaching for them. The last thing the crowd saw before the lights blew out was the sisters, waist-deep in the floor, their mouths open wide as the whispers poured out of them, whispers that were no longer human, promising the rest of the room they'd be coming back for more. When the lights returned, the sisters were gone. The audience members staggered into the night, unable to explain or even remember what they'd seen, or why they couldn't stop hearing faint voices whispering in the dark. The present. As we have discovered, the book wonders. It now sits in an antique shop in a quiet town where the dust is thick and the air smells faintly of something sweet and rotting. You might hear it before you see it, A faint murmur, like someone trying to get your attention from across the room. The closer you get, the clearer it becomes, until you swear the voice is pressing against your ear, warm and intimate. What do you desire most? When you open the cover, the pages are blank, but only until you tell it your wish. Then the letters bloom across the page. The wish will come true. It always does. And the book will take its payment, even if it takes years, because it's patient, and it's yours, until it isn't.
Thank you for being here. Please be sure to leave us a comment. Let us know where you're listening from. Until we meet again, stay spooky, and may all your nightmares be groovy.